Well, it's good to see you. Welcome. Thanks for coming on.
You as well. So glad to be here. Thanks.
Just remind us about the organization and what y'all are trying to do here in North Carolina and across the country.
Sure, absolutely. So I'm the state chair of the North Carolina Forward Party, founded by Andrew Yang and Christy Todd Whitman. It's a national party. We have ballot access in some states. We're fighting to gain it here in North Carolina. And it's really about an alternative for people. A lot of the people we speak to feel like they're not being represented by either of the two major parties. As you know, there's more registered independents than are Democrats or Republicans. So these people are looking for a home, and they're looking for some common sense, common ground solutions. So we're trying to help build a way for them to get that.
One of the other things you're trying to follow an alternative is we're about 2 weeks out from a second primary,
Yes.
or runoff, or
Yes.
however people want to describe it. You think there's a better way to do that too, right?
Not just me. There's a lot of people. So instant runoffs, as it's often called, or ranked choice voting. John McCain was a big advocate back in the day, and it's been used, most notably in Alaska and New York City, but being used in municipalities across the country. And as the name implies with ranked choice voting, instead of this dichotomy, right now people have to say, do you want A or you want B? And a lot of times they don't really like either one of them. This gives people an opportunity to rank the candidates in the order they see fit. It also removes that factor of the fear of wasting your vote. You might have someone running locally who you really believe is the best and you want to support them. But if you don't think they have a viable path, then you get scared. And again, you've only got one vote, so you don't want to waste it. Ranked choice voting would allow you to vote for who you think in your heart is best. And then, hey, if they don't win, here's who I'd rather see.
So it would literally work like that? Like, 'cause I know there's different ways people thought about doing it, but it's like 1, 2, 3 essentially you put on a ballot.
Literally, yep. So, frankly, there's a lot of different ways to do this, and I don't want to bore you or your viewers with all of that, but we're really about just finding alternatives, right? The system we're currently using, everyone agrees is broken, isn't giving people the representation they want. In ranked choice voting, a lot of times it would be with open primaries or removing the primaries completely. For example, here in Raleigh, our current city council is advocating to implement primaries for the city council races. We feel like that's kind of a step backwards. We feel like if they used ranked choice voting or instant runoffs as they're known in November, you could have a slate of as many candidates that want to run and allow the voters to really determine who's going to get the seat.
For some people, this is also about, obviously every count, now we have statewide ones coming up on May 14th, which means that ballots and voting precincts are going to be open across the state. So it's a cost factor there for a lot of it too. Is that part of the argument for you too, or is it
Absolutely.
more about openness to people beyond the two front runners, for instance?
So it really is both, right? I mean, it is a better system. It's more choice, more voice for the voters. That's certainly our primary motivation. But from a more practical standpoint, when you look at everything that's going to have to happen and the taxpayer dollars that are being spent for these upcoming second primaries, the other travesty of it, let's take District 13, for example, right? You've got a gerrymandered district, so you're going to have a Republican win in November. Everyone knows that. And now in the primary, you have two candidates who have both said that they're Trump Republicans, which is okay. They're entitled to whatever they want to represent. But what real choice now do the voters of that district have? And when you go to first of all, primary turnout is very, very low. When you ask people to come out for a second primary, it's even lower. We're talking about 5% of the constituents who are going to decide who's going to Washington to represent over 750,000 people. And we just think that's a travesty. But yes, obviously the waste of taxpayer dollars. We look at the Board of Elections and also the candidates, right? How much money is being spent to campaign again and to recycle all the information and all the volunteers. And it's a lot, and we don't need it. There's a better way to do this.
So just so people are clear, so people have their second choice, and then those votes are added up to basically determine who wins to get over, that threshold of doing
Correct.
it.
So one of the first things that's important to point out is when we have an election, even if we used ranked choice voting, someone gets more than 50% of the votes, they win. End of conversation. So we're not looking to make a major change there. We're talking about races where people are getting 18%, 21%. There's no real clear winner. There's not a groundswell of people saying, this is who we want. So when that happens, what's the best way to address that? Ranked choice voting gets us a better result and a better process for the people, as opposed to what we're doing now, which is, again, going back down that rabbit hole of redoing the election and wasting all that money and time.
some people are going to say, look, this makes total sense. So why aren't we doing it?
So as much as it's popular with people like myself, a lot of the elected officials, they're scared of it. And even voters, in fairness, right? A lot of it's really just an education for people. They hear about this, it's different. Anytime people have change in their lives, they're reluctant. So a big part of what we're doing at the Forward Party is educating people.
Well, we'll see what happens in the meantime. Good.